Hello, this is Gabe Cymbalista with Cymbalistic Cynicism. Before I bring our guest in, I just would like to remind everybody that we have shows throughout the week. On Monday, we have Generation Movie with JW and Rich at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Loud and Nerdy on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have Untrained and Unscripted with Ryan and Joe on Thursdays bi-weekly. Anyway, let me bring in our guest, Charles Edwin Powell. How are you, Charles?
I'm good, man. It's great to see you again, Gabe.
Good to see you,
Thanks
too.
for having me.
Of course. So I'm going to get this out of the way. Well, first, let me just bring in some comments.
I owe you money. Is that what it is?
He says, hi, Joe. Hi, Joe. Yeah. And, JW says Generation Movies at 9 p.m. My bad, JW. My apologies. Okay. Welcome. And JW says, welcome to Network Charles. JW is another one of our co-hosts. So I'm going to bring, just because this is one of my favorite sequels in horror movie history, I'm going to start with this. The Exorcist III. Okay. And, you know, since the day we met over a year ago, I always brought it up to you. That was like the first movie I brought up to you. Tell us a little bit about playing the Gemini Killer in that project, in that film.
Yeah, that was as you and I have discussed in the past, it was one of the most bizarre experiences I think I've ever had as an actor. And just to take you back a little bit, I had just moved to LA, and I'd only been in LA for maybe 4 months, maybe 5, maybe 6, somewhere in that world. And I was, doing the waiting gigs, and I got an agent and got the audition. And so my agent called me up and said, hey, they're interested in using a union person to be a stand-in. Are you interested? I said, how long is the gig? She said, 4 weeks. I said, I'm in. So she said, but you have to audition for it. I said, okay, it's fine. So I went to the casting office, which is right across the street from the studios. And while I was there, they handed me a sheet of paper with a monologue on it. Already, I'm thinking, I don't know any stand-ins that are learning dialogue at this point. But no one's telling me what it's for. Like, there's nothing other than dialogue written on the page. There's nothing there. So she said, follow me. So we walk out the door, walk across the street, walk into the studio. And I'm trying to learn this thing as I'm walking across the street. And as soon as we get to the door, they ring the bell. And I look up, and the first person I see standing there is George C. Scott. And he's got a gun in his hand. And I'm thinking, I know who that is because my dad's favorite movie is Patton. So I know him, but I don't know what I'm doing here. So they yell, cut. Eddie takes me over to the green room. She said, somebody will be in here in a minute. So just continue to go over the dialogue. I went over the dialogue. This gentleman walks in. Hi, how are you? Thank you for coming in. Can you read that for me? Okay, thank you. Can you read it again a little slower? Okay, thank you. He leaves the room. That's about how long it took. Don't have any idea who this is. They ring the bell. We walk back out. As we're walking back across the street, I said, what is this for? And she said, well, if you are approved, if you get the job, we'll let you know. So by the time I got home, my agent already called.
So you didn't know what it was?
I still didn't know.
Wow.
So I started talking to my agent. She said, well, apparently there's doing a reshoot of Exorcist III because there was no exorcism in the original cut. And I said, okay. And she said, so what did you do? What happened? So I explained to her what happened. And she said, well, yeah, that gentleman that you met was probably Bill Blatty. That's who that was. And I kind of went, oh, I think had I known that, I would have been, fawning over this. I mean, because back then we didn't have the phones with the pictures. All we had was like People magazine. So everybody knew the names, but nobody really knew what anybody looked like, back then. I mean, there
was no Google.
No.
You could just look up a person's image.
But it was just the most bizarre. So anyway, they ended up hiring me. And so when I got hired, I went to the special effects makeup thing, and they put me in a live cast. And as it was explained to me by the effects guys, he said, you're going to be playing.
I'm going to bring up a photo, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go.
That's you, right?
That's Mike Smithson right there. Yeah. Mike and I are still blood brothers to this day. One of the best things that ever happened doing that film was, becoming friends with that guy. He's an amazingly talented dude right there. But you pull up his resume, he's a who's who of makeup. But so they were explaining to me, yeah, I'm gonna be playing Jason. And I said, what do you mean playing Jason? Jason Miller? He said, yeah, they've only got him another couple of days. He was only there, I think, for 2 or 3 days, and then he was gone. They needed another 3.5 weeks of shooting with him. So I don't really know more than that at that point. And so we get into the makeup trailer at the, butt crack of dawn, and nobody's there for like 3 hours. We're doing the makeup. People start streaming it. And then we start working these incredibly long days with the makeup. And I got to sit in with Jason the first couple of days. He was very kind with his time. He kind of understood what I was doing. And so I sat in and I talked to him a little bit. I got to watch some of his mannerisms. I got to watch some of the dailies of how he handled himself in the scene. And then I got to meet Nicole Williamson, who to me was crazy because he was always Merlin, the magician from Excalibur, because as soon as he starts to speak, that voice just comes out of him,
Yeah.
But so that's how I spent the next 3.5 weeks. And it was a very strange vibe. I don't know how to explain it, but it was the air was thick every day we were there. I'll put it to you that way.
Well, I actually wanted to ask, because I know you play the Gemini. You weren't the only person playing the Gemini. There were several people. There was
from what I understood, the person that I think really had it the worst was Brad Dourif.
Yeah,
because I think he had to come in and redo all of his stuff.
Really,
and he was phenomenal in the movie. I don't know which cut is. I don't know if it's in the director's cut or what, but I'm a huge fan of Brad Dourif anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think he had to go back and redo everything. So when you see the final cut, any close-ups, you'll see a lot of screamers on Jason, right? Like these really tight shots.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, anything in a 2-shot is going to be me and Nicole. So
okay.
you'll see a lot of action between the both of us, and then they'll cut to Jason, and then they'll cut to me doing the dialogue in the 2-shot. But they did it so seamlessly that up until, well, I guess Heather Buckley called and did an interview with me a few years back for the Blu-ray. Up until that time, no one even knew about this story. And to be honest with you, I'd kind of forgotten about it. And then Heather said, no, there's a lot of people that are interested in this movie. And, after going to the conventions and meeting the people that just come up, I could sit there and talk to them all day long. They just absolutely love this film.
Yeah. No, I think it's one of the greatest supernatural horror murder thrillers combination in the entire genre. I actually have a few questions and statements from the audience. JW says, what was George C. like? Is George C. Scott like on set? The man was larger than life.
Yes. I can tell you that I did not have an opportunity to work with him. When I was there, I think my first day on set, which was the AD walking me through to the green room to basically audition for this, which was George C. Scott's last day. So by the time I actually got on set, I didn't really get a chance to meet him. Most of my work was done in and around Mr. Blatty, Jason Miller, and Nicole Williamson.
Okay.
And then the makeup guys. I mean, the makeup guys were constantly there, doing the makeup.
So what Joe says, those contact lenses don't look very comfortable.
No, they weren't. Actually, the contact lenses weren't bad. It was the fire. If you go back and watch the scene where the fire and the snakes start coming up, they were real snakes. And they were real.
Yeah,
it was real fire.
Right
yeah,
here.
they were real. They had a Cobra Wrangler there.
Really?
And a lot of that stuff, there was actually glass panels in between us and some of this stuff. But I'm in a straitjacket and my feet are shackled to the floor. I'm not going anywhere until they break for lunch. And even then, it was questionable. But what happened was, as soon as I got into that straitjacket, there were probably 2 or 3 days where they had maybe 13 or 14 snakes that they had in this box. They would just dump on top of my head and yell action. And these things would just be crawling, just so long as they didn't strangle me, which they had somebody back behind me. But so long as they didn't get around my neck, what am I going to do?
Well, actually,
what are you going to do?
I have a question, because there was a shot. Was this you, or was this when they did this scene with the lights?
That's a great question. I don't know what that is.
That might, but this might. I think this might have been a different scene. I think this might
Well,
have
no,
been when George Scott was in it.
Jason's in the cell. Like it's either me or somebody's sitting right there, and if it's somebody sitting there,
That's supposed to be your character on
okay,
that
then
side.
so it's either gonna, you know what? If those are sparks and flames, I got to believe that's probably not Jason.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
Gotcha.
I don't know, but I'm just sort of rationalizing that.
Yeah.
If there's something going on, it's probably not him.
Yeah. Hold on one second. JW says Jason Miller was a legend from my hometown in Scranton. Did you maybe get to meet his son Jason Patrick?
No, I did not. No, I did not. But I know that Jason worked with a bunch of buddies of mine in was it Terrifier 3?
Yeah.
Wasn't he with the Fuzz Boys and Damien? Yeah.
I think that's how we officially met, you and I, at the New Jersey Horror Con through the Fuzz and the Lens crew.
Yeah.
It was a stream.
Yeah. I got a lot of love for those guys, man. They're a talented crew, and they are only at the beginning of their
I know
rise.
I've known them since before Fuzz and the Lens was really a thing. Well, I knew Michael and Marcus for years. Yeah.
That's a dangerous combination at night.
Anybody who knows them would say that.
Yeah.
But it's a fun danger. Joe says, on average, how long were you in the makeup chair?
I think initially, I'm going to say it was well over 3.5, 4 hours initially. And then I think Mike got it down to about an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours. And then taking it off is always easier because you just get this shit off of me kind of thing. But even that was a process. You know, you couldn't pull it because we worked around those flame bars so much that after about a week and a half, it was really starting to mess with my skin. And you're using that alcohol to get it off and the alcohol to put it on. And you know, the latex held up great. You know, the prosthetics held up fantastic, but the flames really messed with the contacts and they really messed with my skin. But you know, you sign up for it, you kind of just.
I assume you were an Exorcist fan before you before you were involved in the film.
Well, who wasn't?
Who wasn't?
Who wasn't? You know, I mean, people may still be scratching their heads at 2, but the first one was just amazing.
You know? I'm actually seeing Linda next week.
Are you really?
Yeah. She has just as much animal rescue paraphernalia at her table as she does Exorcist stuff.
Okay. Well, that's a nice cause. That's a good cause to have.
Yeah, I love that. JW also says the Exorcist films are renowned for the weird occurrences on set. Is that a heaviness you fare to? Was there any scary things that happened? Good question, JW.
You know, when we were working around the fire and the snakes, that was pretty intense for me because I don't know how to say this. The snake. Well, I mean, there were a lot of like prop snakes, but you know, at a certain point, you do get a little weirded out because with 14 or 15 snakes, you know, you're sitting like this for 10 hours, and all they do is just keep dumping snakes on you to get the right shot. At some point, you can't even see because you got snakes over your face, over your mouth, over your, you know. But the heaviness, no, you know, it's funny. I didn't really learn about a lot of why the Exorcist reshoots were happening until much, much, much later. Probably within the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. So, you know, from my perspective, I was basically like an actor. I was just a hired gun. I had a job to do, and I didn't really know a lot of the stuff going on behind the scenes. But I think, you know, from what I've heard and from what I've read and from the documentaries I've seen, you know, I think there were mixed emotions, especially coming from Mr. Blatty that shooting the reshoot. I think he wanted to stay maybe truer to the book, or you know, I'm not sure, but I think whatever they did, it's legacy. You know, I can't really speak to anything weird happening because the only thing I could see were through the 2 holes in the contacts, and that's really bad. But I think the heaviness really came from the fact that I don't really know how many people really wanted to be there, you know, to redo it, because again, I'm only learning this in hindsight. I didn't experience it in real time, but it's only because of the documentaries I've seen, and I knew that I was there.
I gotta check
Right.
out those documentaries because they sound very interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
no, it is,
I'm
and I learned a
gonna
lot.
reach out to you to find out what they're called because I'm really curious.
It was bizarre to me because I'm sitting there watching it going, "Yeah, I remember this," but I had no idea this was happening. Like, I
Yeah,
had no clue. And there's no reason I should have known. I
yeah.
wasn't that wasn't part of my circle, you know?
You know, the Exorcist III just something about like it is a legacy sequel.
Mhm.
It may not be a Linda Blair Reagan sequel, but it is the Father Karras
Right.
sequel.
Yeah.
And I love how it could be a legacy sequel while like stemming away from the typical exorcism and exorcist concept of like this girl or this kid or this just needs a regular exorcism, like because you realize by the end of the Exorcist 3, spoilers to anybody who here hasn't seen it, which I know most of you have.
40 years later.
Yeah, the one who really takes down, the Gemini killer is George C. Scott, the old friend of Father Karras, as opposed to the exorcist himself.
Right.
So it's almost like interesting, like passing the torch via telling like he sacrificed himself to save Reagan, and then he asked his friend to sacrifice him again to stop the killing. This is very interesting. My friend Catherine once says, can I say hi to Charles Edwin Powell?
Hi, Catherine.
She was at Long Island Horror Con. She was
Right.
she was one of the girls there.
Yeah, we're connected on social media now.
Yeah. Sid says they're extremely talented, the Fuzz Boys. Yes,
Love the Fuzz
absolutely.
Boys. Love them.
Joe, good. Oh, Joe says good point. Like he says, sounds like an episode of Fear Factor with the snake.
That was my first job outside of waiting tables at Jerry's Deli. That was my first gig as an actor, if you want to call it, because they were looking for a union actor. Had I not been a part of the union, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So yeah, that was I wasn't going to really complain a whole lot, even though the list was getting longer and longer and longer of what I probably could have. But
But that's amazing that how you got that role.
Yeah,
as your first role.
It was very first.
Yeah, that was a blessing, and that was a blessing.
It was one of the first few auditions because I hadn't had my agent that long. And I think she probably even approached me as the new guy in the agency, like, "Hey, we got this thing. You want to do it?" Because everybody else maybe was telling her no. But I was just like, "Sure, 3 weeks, I'll take it. Absolutely."
Swallow.
What did I know?
Ken says or asks, "Are you anxious to see the newest remake with Scarlett Johansson or Diane Lane, or like any of the other redos?"
I always am very apprehensive with redos or remakes. I would like to see if they're going down this path, I wouldn't mind seeing something original because I think we're starting to see some of that consolidation happening with TV series. People aren't really making a whole lot of series right now, episodics, like they use sitcoms, if you will.
Yeah.
And films that are being in the vault of these studios are being remade and remixed. And I think people are desperate for something new. And I hope that there's something organic will come from this. I'm never going to have anything negative to say if somebody wants to create something, even if it's a remake, because it's so hard to get it off the ground anyway. So, kudos to them for doing it.
Especially when they do their own thing with it.
I'd like to see it go in a different I'd like to see it go in a direction. I don't want to see a TV series about the Titanic.
Yeah.
Because we kind of all know where that's headed, right? Get on the boat and go a different direction.
That's why Breaking Bad was so revolutionary.
Oh, I love
so
that.
unpredictable.
He was amazing. Yeah, the cast was fantastic.
Yeah.
Cast was fantastic.
And it draws you in.
Yeah.
I actually have a question about, you mentioned they had you read for the movie before you knew what it was. May I ask what part you read?
It was the monologue. It was the
monologue.
Yeah, it was
killer.
Oh boy, what was it? It was something. I think he ends it with, have I helped you
believe?
Your unbelief.
Your unbelief, yes.
You know, I think it's somewhere. I haven't thought about this in years, but I think it's somewhere in that world. Yeah.
Was that your voice, or did they
No,
all?
no, 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 no. And what you will see, the makeup was so good that I could actually deliver dialogue out of it. So
Okay.
Nicole and I would just run through this stuff over and over and over, and they'd be so far back that you would, and in the way they lit it, you wouldn't really even know it wasn't Jason, because once he's established, who's thinking it's not him,
Yeah.
right? Who thinks that? Nobody thinks that way. So unless you see this screaming shot of him like this, and there are some really tight shots of Jason
Yeah.
sitting in that cell delivering that dialogue, because really all you see is his hair and his face. That's it. Outside of that, it's me, you know.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy.
But that's a testament to the makeup guys too. I mean, it was very articulating, especially around the mouth.
Okay.
And we actually, they actually, just take a side step. We Bill, one of the other makeup guys, we went to lunch one day over on Hollywood Boulevard. Just, we needed to get out and stretch our legs and stuff. So they walked me around in the makeup to one of the restaurants. People actually thought I was Jason Miller. They were coming up to me, and then all of a sudden I'd start talking, and it's like, no, he doesn't really sound like he's from Texas. I don't think Jason's from Texas. But no, the makeup was so good though. You're never gonna know. You know, had we not talked about it, you'd never know.
Yeah, JW actually says it's one of the most expensive and controversial reshoots in history.
Yeah.
I can understand. Yeah.
And again, I didn't know that. There's no way that you know that going through it. You don't know what you're going through until after you go back and look at it and you go, oh, now this is making sense. Now I'm understanding why they're doing this. But at the time, you know, no, you have a job to do. You move on, but it's not until, 30 years later that things start trickling out,
Yeah.
and I understand why people want to keep it under wraps, but there's so much love for this film that I think people are just desperate, like to find something new that they didn't know about this movie.
It's interesting because before I watched Exorcist III, I think it was a few years ago when they announced, even before they released the trailer, when they announced the new Believer movie, the Exorcist. I rewatched, but even before they announced it, like I was seeing, no, you know what it was? Some people were talking about that that famous jump scene in Exorcist III with the scissors, the clippers.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing people post about it. I'm like, this movie looks so cool. I want to watch it, but I wanted to start at the beginning. I mean, I already saw The Exorcist, but I've never watched the second one. I've never watched the third one. So you know what?
That's the Heretic. It's the Heretic.
The
right?
Heretic. So I watched The Heretic, and then I watched Part 3, and Part 3 was an instant favorite of mine. Like it became like, and I think people found a new love for it years later, or it found its fandom years later. And I know people who didn't even like the film but loved certain elements, especially the jump scare. They say it's one of their biggest jump scares, but it is dark. Like hearing the description of the murder scenes and the murders, like makes you cringe. Like some of I'm not even going to say them because they make me, you know what I mean? JW also asked, and this is a bit random, disturbing to ask after talking about cringy scenes and graphic scenes.
That's funny. That's funny. The corned beef wasn't bad. The corned beef wasn't bad. But I don't know if you ever did. I don't even know if it's still there. I used to live in Studio City. It was it was right on the turn on Ventura Boulevard. It was open 24 hours. You could walk in and see Slash from Guns N' Roses, or Mandy Patinkin. I mean, just anybody, just at any time of day. You could order a bagel and a cup of coffee at 3 a.m, or you could order a full blown Thanksgiving meal at 3 o'clock in the morning. It just didn't matter. But no, it was a very popular area. There were acting classes above the bowling alley, and I spent a lot of years there.
Nice. Catherine says, I'm coming to HorrorCon in New Jersey in May, so you'll see her there.
Oh, fantastic. Looking forward to seeing you, Catherine.
And Joe says, so I want to bring this up. Joe really enjoyed the first season of Exorcist TV series.
Okay.
Gina Davis. I've been meaning to check it out because I hear a lot of people who because they set up. I heard, and this got me to want to watch it. It wasn't even The Exorcist. It was they set up for the Gemini Killer in the 3rd season, and they never ended up doing a 3rd season. But when I heard that, because I'm such a fan of The Exorcist III, that got me to want to watch the Exorcist TV series. So I still have to watch it.
Wow. There's a good chance they might get to the 3rd season now. I mean, if
really,
if they're recycling things, you never really know where that's going to head. You really don't. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me the way kind of this industry's moving right now, of recycling things, that they would get to that 3rd season.
I wouldn't be surprised, because like my favorite TV show Hannibal, they're trying to do a 4th season for the last like 10 years, and they still haven't written it off as a possibility. JW says, is there an original script for a TV show or movie that you've read that you would love to see made?
I'd like to see Firefly come back. I was a fan of that for a while.
Weren't they still teased? They just recently teased that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Was that April Fool's joke? I don't remember.
I don't know. I think it was before April Fool's.
Okay, good. I met Tina Torres once. She's very nice. You know, she used to be married to Lawrence Fishburne.
No kidding.
Yeah. Sid Fisher says, what is your favorite scene from Scream? And you probably have more than one, but because that movie's a little hard to narrow down to one scene.
Yeah. Wow. Changing lanes here for a second.
Yes.
Scream. Wow. I have a couple, actually.
I'm just gonna bring up a photo of you from Scream.
There's I can say generally across the board, working with Wes was an absolute pleasure, because a kid that age that's able to improv like on the spot blew me away. Just most of the stuff that we were just kind of BSing back and forth, telling knock jokes and dad jokes, just horrible stuff. And it ends up in the movie, but it's perfect.
He was by your side when I first met you.
Was he?
I New Jersey Horror Con.
He's a great kid. He's got a beautiful future.
Very intelligent, sweet.
Yeah,
kid.
He really is. My favorite scene. I did enjoy. It's weird, but it's that last scene was one of my favorite scenes. That was
just mention spoilers if you haven't seen.
I'm not. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say too much. I'll let you say whatever.
Yeah, I just want to say spoilers. If you haven't seen Scream, mute your speakers.
But it's the day with Jeffrey, just working with him is fantastic.
Yeah,
anyway, his energy is just incredible. But yeah, that was a very intense day. And then, I mean, on a lot of levels, not just physically, but emotionally as well, for various reasons. But yeah, I would probably start with that one. And then I enjoyed having my ass kicked by Mark.
I was waiting for that.
That was fun. We spent about, I think, 6 to 7 hours in the ceiling.
Can you tell that story?
Up and down, up and down, up and down.
There was, I just want to mention, there was a scene where our friend Mark Haynes was like throwing Charles to the ceiling. But I want you to tell the story behind filming that scene.
Well, yeah, it was as it was explained to me. Bobby, our stunt guy, he goes, "Yeah, would you be willing to, or are you interested in doing this stunt?" And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he told me what the gag was, and it's them pulling me up or being thrown through the ceiling with ropes and whatever else, harnesses. So I said, "Yeah, sure." And he said, "Yeah, it shouldn't take too long. Maybe just 2 or 3 hours." And then you jump cut to like 8 hours later, and we're still being thrown up into the ceiling. But I think I actually sweated out around 11 pounds that day, being strapped into that girdle all day long. But no, Mark really should hit the gym. He's starting to look a little. No, I'm joking, Mark. If you're watching, I'm joking.
I'll send it to Mark after in case he missed it.
Yeah, no, he's such a nice.
He's a gentle giant.
He is. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
he's so soft spoken too, unless he's throwing you through the ceiling kind of thing.
I just wonder about, like, it is an all-star like a great cast. Like, I love the cast. Like, this isn't. Oh no, this is Screamboat. My bad. I realize I'm bringing up the wrong. I had a slip. I'm trying to get it off, and it's stuck.
We'll get there.
But yeah, Mark's amazing. Sid also says here, Mark is amazing. Mark's
good dude.
Mark's great. Yeah. I actually met him where he was attending a con, not as a guest, but as a fan. Like, just that's where we initially met. JW says animated Firefly show is on its way between the end of the show and the Serenity of the movie.
Animated. That's interesting.
So you could always, I mean, you have a voice, so you could really do. Do you do voice acting?
Yeah, I do. Well, this is not a regular. Yeah, this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. You said you don't bring that out for
I pull out the Sennheiser for my special friends.
Thank you, man. And JW also says, is there a discernible difference between how the new guys of Screamboat and Stream, but how the new guys of Screamboat and Stream and the folks of Exorcist III? I think maybe cut out. JW, let me know the rest of the question. Did I read that wrong?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the question is.
Let us know, JW. But let me bring up. So you actually, okay, this is something I wanted to ask you about, because I worked at a film festival where we had a movie called Astronaut with Richard Dreyfuss, Lyric Bent, and Graham Greene.
Okay.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
And I know was this the movie you were in with him?
Where did you find that?
I found on Google.
I'm in it for like a hot second. Yeah.
No, because I just had to ask because I've never seen it. But Graham Greene, I'm a big fan of Graham Greene.
Yeah.
I know he just recently passed away, but I had to ask because
I did not work with him though. I was playing. God, what was I doing in that movie? I think I was British. I think I was a British lieutenant or something. I don't even remember. Yeah.
Okay.
That was a long time ago, dude. Yeah.
So yeah, JW says, is there a discernible difference between how the new guys on Screamboat, how they work, and the folks on Exorcist III work? Like, is there a discernible difference between working with the Fuzz and Lens guys, basically, meet versus the crew of Exorcist III? I think he's asking.
Comparing Exorcist III to Stream?
In terms of the crew that you're working with.
Oh, well, with Screamboat, I only had a day with them. I came in towards the very end of the shoot. I think a lot of people had already left by that point, so there was basically a skeleton crew going on.
Okay.
My day was really quick, you know.
on Stream.
On Screamboat, yeah. And
then there's also, he asked about Stream as well.
And Stream. Well, Stream. Yeah, Stream was about 3 months of for me it was stretched out over about 3 months.
Okay.
Shooting Roy. And we started off the first week or the first maybe 3 days, I think, in Maryland. And then from there we lived in Gettysburg during the winter and the snow and the blizzards and the holes in the wall. That's a whole nother story. But and then after that we came back to Staten Island. I think I finished up over there. But as far as like working goes, I only really had a day on Screamboat, and everybody was great. You know, it was great to work with them, and I got to work with or meet Allison because I knew Allison was on Stream.
I invited her to watch. I don't know if she's tuned in tonight, but I hope she was able.
No, she's lovely. She's wonderful. But it's just because I had seen her in Stream, and then I went to go see Screamboat, and I didn't realize she was in that. I saw it was fantastic. She's great.
I think he means the difference between indie flicks and big budget Hollywood flicks.
I see. Well, yeah, because everything's run and gun with indie stuff. No matter where you are, and unless you have a $20 million indie flick, which I don't really think exists. But with the reshoots again, I can speak to the fact that it just felt like let's just get it done. There wasn't a whole lot of warm fuzzies on that set. With the Fuzz guys, the hours were ridiculous because we were living. I can't remember the name of the hotel, but we were living at the hotel that we were shooting in. Meaning, there was one morning I woke up, I walked out to go to Kraft to get some coffee, and as I'm walking out, I'm literally walking into a shot that's right outside my door. So the hotel basically told us we're allowed to have this half of the hotel. Just don't scare these people that are like the real normal people that are in this part of the hotel. But we could do really whatever we wanted to here. I mean,
That's
that
great.
if for someone to give you carte blanche in a hotel like that, forget it.
I was gonna say that's like
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I hope they got business because as a result. I really
I'm sure people have stopped in.
Yeah, if I lived near there, I would totally go. I just want to
I
bring
hope that answered your question.
I think it did, but he'll let us know if it didn't. I just want to go over the cast of Screamboat.
Sure.
I actually, you were there when I went to see this movie with Steven and Marcus.
Mhm.
And I love how they have like the Day of the Dead cast. They got Jesse Cove in there. They got David Howard Thornton. And I know you got to work with David also on Stream.
On Stream, yeah.
Yeah, and he's great. I love him. And what was I gonna say was I like to call you one of my favorite final dads. I think was what we call you, final dad. One of the final dads.
Yeah. I saw that floating around on social media. I think a little about half a year ago or so. I just what the hell is this? I've never seen this. No, but on Screamboat I got to work with Rumi and the kid that played my son, and he's just absolutely wonderful. Turns out we have mutual friends. Who knew? But yeah.
Great kid. And I love this shot of you guys on set. I met Melissa finally last summer, and then I hung out with her for a weekend in October. And she was really
cool. Yeah, she's great. She's doing really well too. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. And now she's with Michael in the new Scary movie.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on 1 second.
That was a fun day too.
Sid says, I love Marcus. He's such a cool dude. I sent this Marcus his way. I hope he could tune in.
Is Marcus texting Sid to say that?
Well, I'll find out. I'll let you know later. Craft services are important. Take care of your crafts and yeah, exactly. What was your favorite on a shoot?
On a shoot?
Any shoot, I guess Joe means. I'll leave it up.
I had an opportunity to work in New Zealand on a back then they were called Movies of the Week. And it was with Richard Chamberlain. No, it was Zurich. Sorry, it was in Zurich. And the craft service that they put out really looked like it belonged to a restaurant because they would literally walk out with like things of wine and just put them on the table and say, "Here you go." It's like, yeah, but it's 11:30. Okay, all right, whatever. But no, I will say the craft service. Anytime I've ever worked, craft service is very important. If I can get a cup of coffee, I'm pretty happy. You know, the rest of it's gravy. But if I can just get that first cup of coffee, I'm good. But overseas, in Europe, yeah, I had an opportunity to work a few times overseas, and it's just a different world over there.
Yeah,
you know, their spread looks like they're celebrating an anniversary or something. You know,
it's like a wedding hall type. Yeah. Sid says, Sid says no. JW
said, joking, Marcus, if you're watching, I was joking.
JW says it did answer his question. I was with the more thing of the bells and whistles versus toned down guerrilla filmmaking. Yeah, well, when it comes to the Exorcist III, I was in that cell the whole time. So if there was anything else going on, I wasn't a part of it. Gotcha, you know, and literally, you know, in hindsight, I'm sitting here in that straitjacket around these freaking snakes in the fire, and Nicole's doing his gimbal thing. And that's another thing too. I think the reason why people really resonate with that film is because of the practical effects. There's no, I don't think there is any CGI in it. Yeah. What you see is what was there. And then at the end with Nicole and the rolling on the, you know, with the skin and everything, I remember watching that being shot, getting grossed out during the time. I'm like, this is fantastic. It looks amazing. It's funny because I know in The Exorcist III, they described the crime scenes. And I was searching photos for Exorcist III for our show tonight. And I'm seeing photos of the crime scenes of some of the bodies that were never shown in the final edit of the film. Oh, wow. Like the priest with the head cut off and the head sitting on his lap. Like that wasn't in the film, but it was the photos online. You know what I mean? So it's like, it looks like something out of a snuff. It's creepy. Then maybe that was part of the original cut that they went back and reshot. I'm not sure. Yeah, possibly. I actually, this afternoon, I watched your episode of Law and Order SVU. Oh, and I got some shots of you here. This is when you finally get to meet Christopher, work with Christopher Maloney.
Yeah, he was awesome. That dude got jacked too, man. He looks great.
Yeah.
He really did. He
And
spent the
this-
next 3 hours in the bathroom beating me up.
And then then there's a scene where you were intimidating the witness.
Yeah.
That was a good episode. Like I
Yeah.
didn't.
It was a crossover episode.
Yeah, no, I
when
realized.
Chris shows up, I'm sure the fans went nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What's it called? And there's a movie that I have to see, but I for some reason I need, in order to get a digital streaming of it, I have to get a subscription to MGM. But I want to see it. You did a movie with Neve Campbell called Lost Junction.
Yeah,
which is really, and yeah, and she, I met her before. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah,
She's
no,
an
it was with Neve Campbell, Billy Burke, and Jake Busey.
Yes,
and all three of those guys, we hung out afterwards, at night, and they were just wonderful individuals. They were just very cool people. They were who you would want them to be if you met them. That's the best way to put it.
That's what that I like, because I heard that about Betty White. She was just as amazing in real life as you'd think, if not more so. The way you'd think she would be, So actually, there's a movie I want to see. I mean, I've seen it years ago. Probably I think it was, I forgot where it was. It might have been on the Sci-Fi Channel, back when Sci-Fi was on, like, the regular cable, and Sci-Fi would show a movie every day, a different horror movie. But this movie called Screamers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know who you were back then, but now I got to rewatch it because I know you.
Yeah, that was with Peter Weller. Yeah.
Yes. He was at conventions I went to, but I never met him. But I'm a huge fan of the RoboCop movies.
Yeah, he's a very intelligent man. Yeah, and he took that approach with the character in this film and just really kind of took it up a notch of where I think it was originally written, because it was a short story called Second Variety by Dan O'Banion that kind of motivated this script to be rewritten. And from it's my understanding, and I could be wrong, but it's my understanding that Arnold Schwarzenegger had optioned this sort of right after Total Recall or Total Recall 2 or something. And I think he might have been interested in shooting this, but then that option ran out and somebody else bought it. And instead of shooting it in the desert, we ended up shooting it in these it's some kind of concrete pit in Canada.
So a lot of that was artificial, like
weather. They were mats, actually. They were actually hand-drawn mats. That was back when people did matte paintings, But I thought that looked fantastic.
Yeah. It looked like a other like an alternate like a different planet's version of The Thing.
Okay.
But like, because the whole, in terms of like this thing that infects people, becomes like robots, these screamers, and tries to get back to the population to do its thing.
Right. They start sort of repopulating and evolving on their own.
Yeah. So I really want, hold on a second. Ken says film Screamers in my neck of the woods in the gravel quarry.
That's the word I was looking for, the gravel quarry. I couldn't come up with it, but yeah, that was in that wasn't Toronto. It was Montreal. We shot some of that and it was freaking cold, dude. The wardrobe looked fantastic. It did nothing to keep you warm. And there was snow. I mean, you could imagine. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then we shot that. And then we went to where the baseball team that used to be there, the Montreal Expos, they played in a stadium. I can't remember the name of the stadium, but if you look at the outside of the stadium, it looks like something out of Star Trek. It's the most unusual looking stadium. And we shot a lot of the blood and guts, the screamer stuff up in the top of that stadium.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what that makes me think of? I once filmed at several of the Ivy League schools in the course of like 3 days, and some of the dorm buildings look like something out of a Tim Burton set. Like the jagged, like that it's hanging. It's like, it looks like the building's hanging over something, but there's nothing there. It looks like something out of a Tim Burton set. Yeah. JW says, Charles, folks probably don't know that you directed an animated Christmas film. What was that like? See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was a voice gig, and I think my kids were even involved with that. That's going back a ways too. I was asked to be involved, and then I believe it was who did that voice was producing it. I think if it's the same one I'm thinking of. And then I actually got my kids involved, and they played a couple of characters in it. And by directing me, and I was directing my kids in their performances, as if it was almost like one of these old time radio programs that you would listen to, fireside chat. That's what I'm looking for. It was kind of like that, and it was a very sweet story. It really was. And I thought the kids did a great job. You know, they had a nice write up in the article in the paper. So it was
nice.
Yeah.
JW says Screamers is a great movie. Expos played at Olympic Stadium.
Olympic Stadium, yes. And I missed the Expos. That was a fun team to watch. Yeah. The Olympic Stadium. That's the name of
that. Joe Ridgely says, I have to revisit Screamers. There's a sequel too, no?
I heard there was a sequel. I don't know if it's a sequel or a prequel.
Yeah. I saw it. It's available on Amazon, or I saw it visible on Amazon. I don't know if it's available.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it was done or who did it, but I have heard that there is another Screamer something out there.
Oh, Nemo. Hey, Nemo. This is a friend of mine from the horror community.
Must be a very good friend.
No, I don't even know if we've met. We were connected through a podcast. Ken says, I think there are 3 Screamers movies.
No kidding.
Wow. Sid says, what is the name of the Christmas movie? I have to check it out.
It's not. I don't think it's a movie. I believe it was a radio like a podcast. Yeah, it was like a fireside chat. So it's something that you would listen to on the radio, that kind of thing. But it was a podcast kind of thing. If that's what he's thinking of, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, Nemo confirms no, we haven't. But hold on one second. I want to go back. I found some photos that it's like photos of you with a lot of renowned actors that I want to ask where they're from, because not everything was I able to pinpoint.
Okay.
This one is this was what's it called? Kung Fu.
That was Kung Fu: The Legend Continues, directed by John. That was directed by John Cassar. I was in 2 episodes, 2 separate seasons.
I watched it when I was like a kid. I love that show.
John directed both. John's the director that was behind what was that? Kiefer Sutherland, 24.
24.
Yeah, John directed a lot of that. He's a very talented dude. But that was and there's a little story behind that, because that was just one of the episodes I was in. I played this Jesse James kind of character.
Nice.
There was a throwback. David Carradine's character goes back in time and ends up in an old Western town. I don't remember how, but but the nice thing about doing that particular episode was that I grew up watching Westerns. And I watched black and white Westerns. Clint, Clu Gallagher, the Virginian, Clint Walker. Well, little did I know that when I went to work on David Carradine's show, Kung Fu, all those guys were there. Clint Walker, Clu Gallagher, the Virginian, and James Drury. James Drury was his name. And I could not believe that I was standing in front of the guys that I used to sit in front of the TV and watch. It was bizarre. It was one of those I just got goosebumps. It was one of those little moments that you check the box and move on.
Yeah.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but to me, it was huge. It was huge.
Listen, I had moments with my favorite movies where I met my favorite actors, and now I'm friends with half of them, so, and it's amazing. And and there was another one here with Pierce Brosnan.
Wow, Mr. Attenborough. Yeah.
Oh, that's Richard Attenborough?
That's Richard Attenborough. That's the doctor from Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. That's how most people know him. I know him as an actor from years and years. Like, I think The Great Escape was one of the films he was in way back in the day. But that was a film called Gray Owl. And that was a labor of love for him. And it was based on a true story. And that was probably the most unusual audition I've ever had, because it wasn't really an audition. He just asked to meet the actors. He was in the hotel. We'd go up and we'd just sit and talk. And he just wanted to talk to you. That's all he wanted to do. And then
he seems like a real talkative person.
He is so
watching Jurassic Park.
He's very old school. I don't know that they make them like him anymore.
Yeah.
But I do remember working with Pierce one time in the vehicle, because it was a period piece. and I wasn't getting one of the beats right with the camera or something. And I remember Mr. Attenborough coming over, and he put his hand on top of my hand, and he says, "Now, darling, it must have been my fault. I didn't explain it very well." And I'm like, here I am fucking up the scene, and he's taking the blame. And I'm like, I love this man. And it was that day he goes, "I'm just good. Would you want to come watch dailies?" I said, "Sure." I'm like, okay. But he was one of the most genuine, just a genuinely organic individual. Nothing but love, nothing but loving the process of filmmaking. And I think if anybody was fortunate enough to ever get to know him, you would remember that. And Pierce is exactly who you would hope he would be. He's just an awesome dude. Yeah.
So I just want to mention, under the Floorboards 5 podcast says, Charles, you were phenomenal in stream.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. That's very kind.
JW says, I'll be home for Christmas. Was that the name of the...
I think that sounds familiar. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If the website is still up, you can probably hear it.
Okay.
I haven't checked it out in quite a while, but yeah.
I'll definitely check it out to see if I could find it. Ken says, the Village People Cowboy.
I would like to know where you're going with that.
JW says, I hope Gabe has a pic with you and Lassie, and I don't. Were you in a?
I worked in a. God, man, we're going. You're gonna have to you got to start vetting this stuff with me, man, because I haven't thought about it in 35 years. Yes, I did an episode of Lassie. Not the original black and white, but yeah, I think it was a short-lived series. I played an actor, I think, in that, who had a monkey. I had an actor who had a pet monkey. That's all I remember.
Wow, so interesting.
The monkey was fun.
I love Swift says, I love Kung Fu Legend continues. Me too. I never met David Carradine, but I met his brother, I think. What was it? I forgot his brother's name.
Is it Robert?
Robert Carradine, yeah. Is that, yeah. That's one awesome eyebrow raise. Yeah, Swift says,
they get out of control sometimes.
Swift says, yeah, Westerns were fire. Yeah. I have friends who are big Western people. They're very critical when it comes to Western, but I mean they're also very passionate when it comes to Western.
Right.
So yeah. Isn't that the best moments when you're starstruck? I was starstruck when I met David Howard Thornton. It's it's funny. I just gotta mention the first time I met David and I had spoken online, but we met.
Wait, did you know him from art? Did
yes,
you know?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Now I knew Damien before I knew David.
Okay.
I met Damien a month before I met David, but Damien and I and Lauren clicked like that. And then a month later, I come downstairs in a hotel where I slept. I missed the Malcolm McDowell, whatever, Clockwork Orange screening. And I walk into the hotel cafe, and there's Damien, David, and Howard, and David Howard Thornton and Kane Hodder all sitting at a table. Damien comes over, gives me a big hug. David and I just meets for the first time. And every time I see David, just nonchalant, and we're just cracking puns to each other. And
he's another one of those guys that you would never know what his on-screen persona is if you're sitting there talking to him. He's like Mark. He's just not a real loud guy and just a very pleasant individual to be around.
Yeah, absolutely. Under the Floorboards 5 podcast says, do you have a favorite scene partner through your travels?
I have to say my wife, otherwise she'll kill me.
I love that. She's a sweetheart. I've met her a couple of times.
She's a trooper. Occasionally she'll come out to these conventions with me,
Yeah. Well, I also saw her at the film festival.
Yeah.
Back in December. Yeah. JW says, sorry, Charles, we do our research and have the most organic responses on our network. It's true. Can I tell you something? I brought up stuff to people that they forgot they did.
Yeah. No, that's fine. It's funny though, because I've learned a lot about The Exorcist III, even though I was there. Because there are things that like I said, just conversations that were just not part of my world for 30 something years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the Blu-ray comes out and the phone's like, hello, did this really happen? It's like, yeah.
And I feel like that alone got you a lot of work in general. Like, just
I would say the conventions for sure. Yeah.
yeah, that too.
Because and again, I could go to the conventions and talk to people all day long. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, I know.
you
You
and
and
I'll
I
sit
would
and
chat
talk,
up
and
a storm like all weekend.
the line will keep getting longer and longer and longer, and you and I are just kind of
Yeah, and I have to like I'll catch up with you later because I don't hold up the line.
Yeah.
And JW says, Charles, do you have a favorite Western film? Can you narrow it down to one, or can you not?
I can, and I'm going to be a homer by doing this. Okay.
Okay.
The very first on camera speaking role in a film that I got was a film called Cheyenne Warrior. It was a Western, and it was a Roger Corman Western.
Really?
He was responsible for putting me in front of the camera. My wife in that film was Kelly Preston. God rest her soul. She was she was just an insanely sweet lady. And then that's where I met Clint Howard.
Yes.
And Clint's awesome. Clint actually gave me he gave me a few pieces of advice on set because I was a little on the nervous side. And to this day, I remember him being there, and I'm very grateful for that. And then Dan Haggerty, who had his own show back in the day called Grizzly Adams. I mean, I'm going way back, but yeah, that was my first. So that's my first answer. I'm going to say Cheyenne Warrior because that film really kind of helped me move forward and with my resume and working and stuff like that.
But you appreciate it as you enjoy it as watching it too, not just being in it.
Yeah, I mean, budgets could always be bigger.
Yeah,
but I think it was a good storyline. And Pato Hoffman played the Indian warrior sort of chief. I think he was a chief. I can't remember, but Pato was amazing. He was one of the most organic actors that I would watch at that time, and he just made it look effortless. He's good. He was a good guy, very very good guy. I don't know what happened to him, but yeah. But as far as a Western goes, I like The Unforgiven. A big fan of that. I do like, but see, here's the problem. If I go down that rabbit hole, I'm going to be changing my mind a lot.
That's why I said I never have one favorite of anything.
No, I don't. It's kind of like music. I grew up listening to all kinds of music growing up. I mean, I'm from Texas, so country and Western had to be part of it, right? But I also listened to grunge, and I also listened to NWA back in the day. I listened to songs. I didn't really follow bands, but I would listen to music, and just kind of take a little bit here and there, and that just made sense to me.
I mean, there are songs I love that I don't even know who wrote them. Or forget which artist wrote them. I just enjoy the song.
Right.
Then again, I was raised on classical music and the Beatles before I was into modern music.
Yeah, I think if I wasn't an actor, I'd probably be a closet musician for sure. My brother's actually a musician. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He sang with Cave for a long time in Florida. He's a lead singer. But and then he and his family moved to Hawaii, and so now he's the front man for a band called the 1201, which is out of Kona, Hawaii.
Do you play any instruments?
I used to play harmonica back in the day.
Really? I have a friend who plays harmonica. Yeah.
And I did musical theater. I did musical theater growing up. So, being on stage performing really wasn't that foreign to me.
Gotcha. Nice. Nemo says, my grandpa loved Westerns. Movies he made me watch all the time, all of his faves when I was younger.
They all had themes and morals, whether you wanted them to or not, and you didn't know it at the time. You don't know it till you're older. But yeah. No, I got a soft spot for Westerns.
It actually makes me think of MASH because
I love MASH.
I couldn't appreciate MASH when my mother watched it as a kid, but when I got older, I could appreciate it more.
Yeah. No, I love the dialogue, the writing on that. It was really, really good.
I'm actually seeing Jamie Farr next week at his last Chiller convention signing ever.
In the dress or out of the dress?
Good question, but I doubt he's going to be in the dress. I've been dying to meet him for years. Loretta Swit I met a month before she passed away last year. She was a sweetheart.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Ken says, he says, Ken says, you are here in front of some of the most knowledgeable people for films. So you're going to have a lot of surprise questions. Nemo says I was forced to watch Mad. I wouldn't. I mean, I could never consider myself forced to watch something I don't want to watch. No. I mean, I can never consider myself unhappy being forced to watch something I want to watch. I guess. Sid said I used to play percussion in high school. Interesting. Nemo says I still turn the channel every time it comes on.
Childhood trauma. Somebody needs a hug.
We should all have such trauma. That should be the worst of it. She says,
Yeah.
I'd rather watch I Love Lucy.
There you go. She was a talented lady too, but a shrewd businesswoman that I have learned over the years. Yeah.
So when I was a kid, before we had JW, who has been hiding in the comments all night, his name's actual John Wayne.
What's his actual name? Do you remember John Wayne's real name?
No, I actually don't.
Anybody
I didn't know that was not his real. it makes sense as a stage name.
It's an MM. His initials.
I don't know it. I didn't even know he had a. I have to look. I'm gonna have to look it up unless you tell me.
I believe it's Marion Morris.
Real interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. There's a lot of westerns, iconic westerns I have not seen that I should see. I've never been big on westerns, but I've watched a few of them. And actually, I was just about to bring this up, but JW beat me to it. Charles, what is Pitchfork Retreat? Lucy responsible. Mary and Michael Morrison.
There you go. There you go. Pitchfork is the film that Gregory Van Voorhees did, and I think you know Greg, right?
I invited him to come on tonight, but he couldn't make. You
should. Greg's one of the nicest guys. He's just a really sweet dude. Yeah. But yeah, he it's on the festival circuit, I think, right now.
Yes.
You
were there. You were there that weekend at the New York City Horror Film Festival.
I saw it. Where did I see it? It was in the city, right? It was in Manhattan,
New York City. Yeah.
And but that was Tony Todd. Tony Todd was all over it.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. He's a sweet dude. But
yeah, I met him 3 times, and he was such a gentleman. So and before, like, somebody told me he was sick before he passed away. So I sort of didn't think it would happen so quick, but like a month later he passed away. And then Marcus was telling me at an event in January 2025 that there were some, and I think it was the Pitchfork Retreat, that he was having some trouble on a set somewhere with his lines, and it just broke my heart. This was after he passed away, but I heard stories from before he passed away, and we started working on, I think it was the Pitchfork Retreat, and my heart just broke.
Yeah,
hearing those.
I know that. Well, I know this just because I know Mike has mentioned this before, but I think Tony was supposed to be a bigger part in Stream 2. Like, he was supposed to be that guy, because at the end of the film he kind of sets it up, at the end.
You were there at Blood and Ink when I asked Michael, is Stream 2 going to have like some sort of tribute to Tony? And he said absolutely. There's going to be, like, because obviously you can't recast Tony Todd, it's impossible. But he said there will be some sort of tribute to Tony in Stream 2, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
that has to happen. So
a lot of love there for that guy.
Yeah. Ken says Tommy Morrison, Rocky 5 was his grandson.
No kidding.
Interesting. Apparently Lucy was responsible for Star Trek. I've heard that before.
I think I've heard that story.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah, no, I think I've heard this. Yeah. I think all the studios passed on it or something, and she did it at Desilu Studios or something.
Well, there's also that story that Robert Englund is the reason Mark Hamill got the role of Luke Skywalker, because Robert Englund auditioned and he didn't get the role, but so, my buddy Mark Hamill, you should have him audition, and he becomes Luke Skywalker. So that's why I heard that story a few times.
I think Mr. Englund did just fine.
Yeah. Sid says Pitchfork Retreat is definitely on my watch list now. It is currently in a lot of film festivals. I'm sure you'll by late this year it'll be on streaming or something. They'll have distribution.
Yeah, it's really well done. It's a well done story. Absolutely.
It's a wild cat, like a huge cast. You got what's his name? Luke has you got Elliot Fulham, you got Tony Todd, you got a lot of people on that crew. Desilu Productions.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was there for the screening, and it was a dark but powerful film. Very, I didn't get to see the whole thing. I actually was at the beginning and the end because I was working the event doing the photos, so I didn't get to see the whole film. But I would definitely rewatch it in full when I can. So yeah. Hold on 1 second. And there's this movie that I wanted to ask you about because also a lot of iconic names with like Affliction with Jake Busey and Sissy Spacek and a number of other people who like the cast blew me away. What was your role in this film?
That I got to work with Paul Schrader. And
really?
he directed that movie. And to call him intense would be an understatement, much like calling Nick Nolte would be a dramatic mistake. There is a scene in Affliction, which I think Nick should have won the Academy Award that year anyway. He was amazing. I think James Coburn ended up winning Best Supporting Actor in that film. But it had Mary Beth Hurt, Willem Dafoe. It was an all-star cast. It's a very dark film. But there's a scene in there where Nick's supposed to come into this little office and kind of be mad and quit his job. So we block it a few times, and then when it's time to yell action, Nick comes in times 1,000 his energy. Desks start getting turned over, chairs are flying through the room. None of this was rehearsed, but Paul's letting it go, and Nick is just purple, and he's just being him, right? So I'm supposed to stand. Paul told me, when Nick does all this, just stand in the doorway and watch it and eat your donut, kind of thing, right? Well, Nick just went on and on and on and on and on, and I just felt like I needed to be a part of this because Jim, who was playing the other actor there across from Holmes, I just felt like Jim needed help with Nick. His character needed help, so I put myself in the scene. And as I'm coming in, Nick roundhouse with his fist, and you hear it in the scene.
Wow.
Well, there's a split second where Nick looks back at me, and I know what he's thinking. What the fuck are you doing there? Because I was not supposed to be there. But Paul didn't yell cut. Nobody stopped. We let the scene play out, and they kept it in the movie. They actually kept it in the film.
Really?
But because the blood goes away, but the memories last forever. That kind of thing, right? But it was. But if you go back and watch that scene where Nick just goes nuts when he hits me, I'm not supposed to be there. But it was a choice that I made, and thank God it worked out. Otherwise, they could have fired me on the spot, I think. Yeah.
Joe Ridley says William Catt mentioned in one of our interviews he was Mark Hamill's college roommate. Bill auditioned as well.
Great American hero, right?
It's such a small world. I swear to God, it is such a small world. What's it called? I just have to go back to George C. Scott. Okay. I know you didn't get to work with him much, but he's been in some movies that I have not seen that I really should watch just for his performance alone, because his performance in The Exorcist III had some of the greatest monologue, like at least one of the greatest monologues I've ever seen in my life. When he's like, "I believe in you," like that whole, it was great. And that's one of the most rewatchable horror movies I feel. And I if it's on TV, I will sit there and I will watch it from whatever part it's up to. The Exorcist III. I don't know. It's a movie that has infinite rewatch value for me.
I remember one of the first films I ever have memories of with my parents in this old, vacation-looking station wagon from Chevy Chase's movie was going to see Patton in a drive-in. And my father was a Marine, like to the day he died. And he was a huge Patton fan, but he would talk about him like he was in the room with us,
Yeah.
sometimes.
That's
But that
wild.
movie had such a profound effect on my dad, but who, especially for the military, I'm sure it did. But
Your father didn't work with Patton, did he?
no. My father was part of the Vietnam conflict.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
That was his generation.
He's not the only one. My best friend's father is a rabbi, and oddly enough, his favorite film of all time is Patton.
Yeah. Yeah, it has legs.
Yeah.
And he does a fantastic, and he gives another brilliant speech in that one right in front of the flag. Yeah.
It's interesting. I discuss Exorcist III with an editor and filmmaking friend of mine who I've known for 20 years. We talk about how the script is very anti-Catholic. There's a lot of underlying messages and things hidden in the dialogue I think it's this is a lot like the discussion about between the two priests. George C. Scott and the priest at the beginning about God. There's a lot of interesting underlying meaning and messages in the dialogue between, and also I love the funny dialogue between George C. Scott and the priest at the beginning, because it never ceases to make me laugh, because that's how I talk to my friends. It's like, we could go off yourself part, here's a good guy, some stuff like that. So yeah, but there's something about the dialogue in Exorcist III that just so good. It's just so good.
I think to me, you can watch Exorcist III and not be lost.
Yeah.
I think it's like watching Rogue One in Star Wars, where it's such a great bridge movie that you don't really have to know what happens next, what happens before.
Yeah.
You can just go and watch Rogue One and go, that was a good movie.
They actually say that about the new Resident Evil movie coming out, because fans are always like, oh, they're redoing this again, they're remaking it again. Are they going to be true to the games? And Zach Krieger said, it's going to be true to the games. The fans are going to love it, he feels. And you don't even have to be a fan of the games to follow the story. Yet it's said in the same inner universe as the games.
Right.
So that's got to be good writing. I mean, I assume that he apparently played all the games in depth to prepare to make the movie. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
Not even just prepare. He grew up on them, but he played them in, very, very deep. He grew up. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, I'm losing my footing. What?
Remember Pong? Boop.
Oh my God.
That's what I remember playing.
Nemo says, my dad hated Rogue One. I loved it. Loved it. Saw it in theaters, and he was so mad when he left. Fun.
Why?
I don't know. I have a cousin who didn't like it, and I have another friend who didn't like it. I don't understand anybody who doesn't like Rogue One.
I just don't understand that.
I think it has one of the greatest Vader sequences of all time, and that was a reshoot too.
Yeah, I feel like Rogue One was a bridge movie. I mean, that's probably why it holds its own.
Yeah. Do you know that scene with Darth Vader was a reshoot? That hallway scene, that was also a reshoot. He said, because everyone dies. Well, I mean, it made sense if you know how A New Hope starts. So there's not any, there wasn't any mention of them later on in the chronology, But I hear that. But Charles, I want to end with, where can everybody find you online, follow you, social media?
It's Charles Edwin Powell, Instagram, Facebook, Tinder. No, wait, no, I can't.
J-Date. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And I look forward to our next hangout, next encounter. And
I'm sure I will be seeing you soon.
I'm sure. I was supposed to go to New Jersey HorrorCon for a day, but I don't know if I can make it now. I'm hoping there might be a way I can go with a friend for the day. But if I don't, I'm sure I'll see you again soon. Hold on one second. JW says, Zach Krieger is a beast. May he get we may truly get a great Resident Evil. Charles, what about a voiceover work on your voiceover work on video games?
I would love to do more of that. I've only done 2, and that was about 1,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to fall backwards into both of those because
was that Pong?
Yeah, it was Pong. I did voice work on Pong. That's actually funny.
What games were they?
You had to ask. Prince of Persia.
Really?
And hang on, don't tell me because I was there. Prince of Persia. I can't remember the other one.
It's all good. I'm gonna have to look it up because I'm curious now.
Prince of Persia. Oh, no, that's not it.
And while you're thinking, I'm gonna promote the other hosts' shows. You could take a moment to think about it. So yeah, JW says this is a Generation movie at what it was 9 p.m. or I believe it's 10 p.m. or maybe he said it was 9 p.m. Mondays, Loud and Nerdy Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Untrained and Unscripted with Riot and Joe Thursday nights bi-weekly at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, Charles, do you remember or not yet?
No, I'm actually trying to look it up on IMDb real quick.
So we'll end on that. I'll take your time. But can you tell us in the meantime, you have any other projects coming up that you can?
Yeah, I do. I just finished a wonderful short yesterday. We were in the city. A wonderful group of women that were doing this this really sort of existential type of what am I doing? Where do I belong? Why am I doing this kind of thing? Wonderful storyline. The director was Kelly Carpenteri, and the writer was Kerry Klinsky, and it was done by there was a company called Fallen Media. I think they're local. I think they're New York. Chloe.
By the way, quick thing. We got the name of the game.
Splinter Cell. Yes. Thank you. Man's coming through today. I love it.
Well, so it was also JW Sid. They all got it. So I told you these guys are very knowledgeable.
Yeah, and then I've got one of the film coming up. They're going to shoot in Jersey in the middle of May called Sicklerville.
Okay,
fantastic story, sort of a slice of life movie dealing kind of like with the opioid crisis of the '90s, based on real people, true story, and I'm looking forward to diving into that. Yeah,
nice. Yeah. I actually, this is not a shameless promotion, but I got to tell you this because you said I'm also working on a movie in May. I'm going to be dying in a film, and it was actually screened. The initial cut of the film was screened at New Jersey HorrorCon where we first met, and they're expanding the cut. It's called The Forest Hills.
Oh, yeah.
Shelley Duvall's last film. So I'm going to be dying in the film.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Film, so in May.
Congratulations.
So yeah, like Charles, it was great to have you on. I hope we didn't keep your family up.
Not at all. They don't even know I'm gone.
Oh, you're in a studio.
I come down here to my little cave and I stay in
that. This is where you do your voiceovers and stuff?
Yeah, right here.
Great. Yeah. You don't even have to go to somebody else's studio. You just do it remotely.
No, well, when the kids were born, I kind of stepped out of the on-camera world and built this studio and decided to be a dad for a while.
I love that.
And then 13 years later, they realized how to use a phone, and I put a credit card on the phone. They can ride the subways and the trains, and they don't need dad anymore. So I got back into the on-camera world.
Awesome, man. So happy for you. Like that's great. Anyway, I'm sure I'll see you soon. Have a wonderful night, man. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure. Looking forward to your next projects, and I can't wait to see the Pitchfork Retreat in full. And yeah, I'm going to send this to Greg so he could check it out.
Yeah, definitely have money. He's a great guy.
For sure, man. Have a great night, brother.
All right, you too, buddy. I'll see you soon, man.
For sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No page to get nothing's out for on the net. Jungle pop out, catch the same flow. Get ready to joke. Untrained, unscripted. Untrained, unscripted.